version, which is published by Encounter Books, was published about 10 years ago, the Israel Test. But it's even more vital today than it was when I published it. When I published it, Netanyahu was assuming office, and I gave the history of Netanyahu's heroic career in the Israeli army and then the frontiers of creation in Israel. And now he's back in office at a time when the forces of the world are mobilizing against Israel as never before.
And the West.
And even the West, the U.S. is betraying Israel in all sorts of ways. And so the Israel test is more vital than ever, and it gives new perspectives on the sources of Bibi Netanyahu's visions for the future and his deep roots in the history of Israel and its intellectual heritage. His father was a great scholar and prophet of Zionist history and achievement. So from the earliest European origins, and so Netanyahu really is the right man and an inspirational figure. And the Israel test is partly dedicated to him. But it's about how one responds to people who excel you in achievement, creativity, and wealth. Do you admire them and emulate them and even try to excel them, or do you envy them and tear them down? And this is the crucial conflict in the world economy between win-lose models and win-win models inspired by the history of Israel, which is really the great accomplishment of recent decades in the Middle East.
But does it go against human nature? And we can use the biblical story of Joseph and his brothers who were jealous of his father's favoritism towards it, and then their natural instinct would be, okay, just because he may be, let's say, deserving or more deserving in merit, and of course,
that's why the propensity of human beings to envy and take down and steal from people who excel them in the creation of wealth is the reason for the need to embed the processes of wealth creation in a fabric of faith and truth. And capitalism is a moral system. It's a system where you prosper by serving others and collaborating with others, and with no guarantees. The future always comes as a surprise to us, and history tells us, in proportion as we have faith, it can be bountiful beyond our expectations.
Is there also a biblical aspect to nations and peoples who praise or who scorn Israel?
Absolutely. That's the theme of the Israel test. The biblical and scriptural and moral foundations of all human achievement. Creativity comes as a surprise to us. If it didn't, we wouldn't need it. And we could have big bureaucracies to administer a guaranteed path of progress. I discussed this in my book, Life After Capitalism, that came out a few weeks ago. And it really continues the theme of the Israel test.
Would you describe that book? the new book now?
Yeah, it explains why all of current economics is blighted by what I call the materialist superstition. The idea that wealth is resources and material goods and atoms, but wealth, as Israel epitomizes, is chiefly learning and knowledge.
Ingenuity?
Ingenuity. Creativity in the image of our Creator.
And are you introducing new principles in the economic theory?
Yeah, this Life After Capitalism expounds an information theory of economics, which founds free enterprise in the rules of expanding knowledge and creativity. And it shows that economics is not fundamentally understood as a science of scarcity. That's a great error, that economics is actually a science of abundance. And abundance is a product of human creativity, which always comes as a surprise to us. If it didn't, we wouldn't need it. And government planning and government guarantees would succeed. It also explains why power in politics has to be distributed as widely as knowledge is distributed if growth and wealth is to be expanded, that knowledge must fuse with power, not in crony capitalism, but in the recognition that the individual human mind is the fount of all our wealth and creativity. So societies that afford the greatest compass of freedom and opportunity are the societies that prevail. And the world is a win-win proposition, not governed by scarcity, but governed by abundance.
Are you concerned about communism in this administration?
Well, we've had a lot of communists in U.S. government and many times.
In the 50s?
In the 50s and the 2000s and the 90s. We've had they may even prevail at times in our current regimes. But I think that because they represent ultimately a big lie of scarcity and zero-sum games of predatory politics, they ultimately fail, and freedom wins.
So this notion of challenging the Democrat or the administration party line to the extent that Google and Facebook will censor, Democrats seem to think that censoring Republican or conservative or libertarian speech or information, whether it comes to vaccine or pandemic stuff, they think that censoring under this notion of misinformation is good.
Yeah, they imagine that they have the truth, and that it really is integrated with their power and their prestige and their plans for the future, and they believe that any information that disproves this revealed truth that they think they command has to be suppressed. But they don't understand that all progress is the product of surprising creations and discoveries. And if you try to guarantee the future, you in fact suppress the very creativity in the image of our Creator that allows us to prevail against the perennial problems of human life and history.
Have you taken a position on AI and now the mainstream search engines putting together their library of truth and history?
Yeah, I think AI is the next phase of computers' progress. It has nothing. It's as dumb as a stick. It has no true knowledge in it. It's completely product of recognizing patterns among numbers, which in turn represent labels on reality rather than reality itself. So, and the current AI systems are actually quite a kludge. They are big data centers dominated by cooling systems, and where the artificially intelligent processes occur many miles away from the actual applications. It's the whole current AI scheme is going to collapse and be replaced, just as the IBM mainframe regime collapsed and was replaced by personal computers. The AI is going to be replaced by personal AI, and it's going to, and the so-called monopolies around these big data centers at Google and Facebook and Amazon and all these great companies are all going to either adapt to the new environment, or they will collapse and change the way IBM had to change in the face of the personal computer.